Now, the greatest radio shows of all time.
Suspense.
The Shadow Node.
Washington calling David Harding, counter-spy.
Classic radio theater.
The Great Gildersleeve. Fibber McGee and Molly.
Dragnet. Gunsmoke.
The Lone Ranger.
Now, step back into a time machine with your host, Wyatt Cox.
Good evening, friends of the Inner Sanctum.
A dramatic hour here on Classic Radio Theater with episodes of The Mysterious Traveler, Suspense, yours truly, Johnny Dollar, Macabre, and Lum and Abner. Okay, drama and a little silliness at the end. Thanks for being with us on this Monday, 13th day of November. Friday the 13th did, in fact, come on a Monday this month. 317th day of the year, 48 days left till we get to 2024. Collier's magazine in 1909 accused U.S. Secretary of the Interior Richard Ballinger of questionable dealings in Alaskan coal fields. In 1956, the Supreme Court declared Alabama and Montgomery laws requiring segregated buses illegal, ending the Montgomery bus boycott. In 1960, Sammy Davis Jr. married Swedish actress Mae Britt. Interracial marriage still illegal in 1960 in 31 out of the 50 United States. How far have we come? In 1971, the American space probe Mariner 9, the first spacecraft to orbit another planet, swinging into its projected trajectory around Mars without a hitch. In 1974, nuclear activist Karen Silkwood killed in a car crash while she was traveling to an interview with New York Times reporter David Burnham. In 1974, Ronald DeFeo murdered his family in Amityville, New York, the basis for the Amityville Horror. In 1982, a boxing match in Las Vegas ended when Ray Mancini defeated Kim Duck-Tu.
I was on top of the world. I was just 21 years old. I had reached my peak as a fighter. I was riding a wave. When they told me that I was going to fight the Pan-Pacific Asian champion, Duk-Koo Kim, I knew it would be an action fight, but I felt my strength would overcome and my ability would be able to defeat him. So at the beginning of the 14th round, I ran across the ring and I noticed that he was coming off his stool slow. So right away I jumped on him. With the right hand, I hit him, left hook, right, and then a straight right hand. Caught him right on the chin and dropped him. When you see a guy go down, you feel like Hercules. You feel like a shark smelling blood. At the count of 9, he held onto the rope and pulled himself up. But then he staggered back, and the referee, Richard Green, stopped it. I never knew that he got carried off by a stretcher. I never knew that until I saw it on TV. Immediately after the fight, we were in my hotel room. My trainer, Murphy Griffith, came up. He said, "Ray, it don't look good." I said, "What time?" I said, "This boy Kim, it don't look good." And he said, "You better prepare yourself for the worst."
Ray Mancini. And the worst did happen. Kim's death 5 days later led to significant changes in boxing. In 1985, Javier Suarez sworn in as Miami's first Cuban-born mayor. 1991, Beauty and the Beast released in theaters. 1994, voters in Sweden decided to join the European Union in a referendum. Disney musical The Lion King opened on Broadway, and in 1998, President Bill Clinton agreed to pay Paula Jones $850,000 to settle a sexual harassment lawsuit. In 2001, in the first such act since World War II, President George W. Bush signed an executive order allowing military tribunals against any foreigners suspected of having connections to terrorist acts or planned acts on the United States. Afghanistan's ruling Taliban abandoned the capital Kabul without a fight in 2001, allowing U.S.-backed Northern Alliance fighters to take over the city. In 2003, Alabama Chief Justice Roy Moore thrown off the bench by a judicial ethics panel after refusing to remove a granite Ten Commandments monument from the state courthouse. Of course, the Ten Commandments, a threat to most lawyers. In 2009, Attorney General Eric Holder announcing plans to try professed 9/11 mastermind Khalid Sheikh Mohammed and 4 others in civilian court in New York City. The Obama administration later backing off on that plan. In 2013, Hawaii legalized same-sex marriage. 2013, 4 World Trade Center officially opened. In 2015, Islamic State operatives carried out a series of coordinated terror attacks in Paris, including suicide bombings, mass shootings, and a hostage crisis. The terrorists killed 130 people, making it the deadliest attack in France since the Second World War. Passing away on this date in history, Italian film director Vittorio De Sica, comedian from Hee Haw Jr. Samples, pro wrestler Eddie Guerrero, and singer-songwriter Leon Russell.
Hi, this is Jeff Foxworthy. It is now time for the birthday announcements. The following people are now officially older than dirt.
And among those no longer with us, actor Jack Elam. Game show host Jack Nars loved his work. The leader of the Westboro Baptist Church, Fred Phelps. Actor Richard Mulligan. Also Gary Marshall, the producer, director, writer. Timmy Thomas, the man who sang about Why Can't We Live Together. And also actor Alexander Scorby.
The first book of Moses, called Genesis. Chapter 1. In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep, and the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters. And God said, Let there be light. And there was light. And God saw the light that it was good, and God divided the light from the darkness. And God called the light day, and the darkness he called night. And the evening and the morning were the first day.
The Alexander Scorby Bible on record, and then on tape, and now on CD, and now on computer, and now on portable devices. Still out there today. Scorby.com. SCOURBY.com. Alexander Scorby, born on this date in history. And a wonderful, wonderful voice. Actor Joe Mantegna, 76 today. Whoopi Goldberg, 68. Scrubs and the Middle actor Neil Flynn, 63. Jimmy Kimmel, 56. And from High School Musical, Monique Coleman is 43. Those just a few of the people celebrating the 13th day of November as their birthday. If this is your birthday.
Hi, we're the 4 freshmen, and we just want to say, Happy birthday to you!
Now, some weirdness with the Mysterious Traveler. That's going to be up next here on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox on this Monday from 72 years ago, November 13th, 1951. But first, Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Thank you so much for getting our podcast today. Let's go back to November 13th, 1951, an episode of The Mysterious Traveler.
The Mutual Broadcasting System presents The Mysterious Traveler. Written, produced, and directed by Robert A. Arthur and David Cogan, and starring Lawson Zerbe in The Most Famous Man in the World. This is The Mysterious Traveler, inviting you to join me on another journey into the realm of the strange and the terrifying. I hope you'll enjoy the trip. So settle back, get a good grip on your nerves, and be comfortable, if you can, as we meet 2 people who haven't even been born yet. It's a story I call The Most Famous Man in the World. Who is the most famous man in the world? You don't know him yet, but you will, if things happen as predicted. His name is Frank Richards, and he has a very odd story. You may find it a little hard to believe at first, but so many things are hard to believe these days, aren't they? So please, keep an open mind while Frank gives you all the facts. And here he is. I wouldn't be telling you this if Mabel hadn't asked me to. Just before she went to the hospital, she said, Frank, you tell people exactly what's happened. Even if they don't believe you, you'll have done your duty. And I said, all right, I would. So I'm going to tell you about the Deans. They rented our front room, John and Susie Dean. They spelled their names funny. John, Jon, and Susie, Susi. You see, we had an extra room in our apartment, and when we learned there was going to be an addition to the family, we decided we needed some extra money. So I went down to the paper and put in an advertisement, offering our front room for rent. Then I went to work. Well, I got home about 6, and I'd hardly settled down with my paper when the door buzzer rang.
Frank, see who that is, will you, dear? I'm busy with supper.
All right, sweetheart. Yes?
Mr. Frank Richards?
Yes, that's my name.
I'm John Dean, and this is my wife, Susie.
Oh, pleased to meet you.
How do you do, Mr. Richards?
We have come desirous of renting the room which you posted in today's newsprint.
You mean the room I advertised in the paper?
Of course, the room you advertised in the paper.
It has not been allotted yet, has it?
Well, you mean rented?
Yes.
Well, no. As a matter of fact, the paper the ad is in isn't even out yet.
You mean not printed yet?
That's right. It's the morning paper. Doesn't come out until about 9 p.m., and it's only 6:15 now.
Oh, but you are wrong. It is out. We have a copy of it.
Here, Mr. Richards, you see? The City Gazette for Wednesday, June 6, 1951, old style.
1951, old style?
I mean, Anno Domini. And here is your posting. I mean your advertisement. Charming front room for rent, newly furnished, kitchen privileges.
May I look at that paper?
Of course.
It's my ad, that's right. But this is the final edition of the paper. It shouldn't be out now. It's not supposed to be printed until about 4 o'clock tomorrow morning.
John, we have made a mistake. Well, what is it,
Frank? Someone come to see our front room, sweetheart. Mr. and Mrs. Dean, my wife.
How do you do?
How do you do?
Oh, Frank, you mustn't keep him standing in that dark hallway. Won't you come in and see the room? Thank you. We will.
It is very kind of you.
Room is right this way. Oh.
Yes?
Oh, nothing. If you'll come this way? Of course. Come on, John, dear.
Well, I knew what it was that had startled Mabel. The way the Deans were dressed. I hadn't been able to see clearly in the dark hall, but once they were inside, I saw that Mrs. Dean was wearing a tight little hat and a fur neck piece and a short-skirted dress, vintage of 1929, while Mr. Dean had on an old-fashioned frock coat, a boiled shirt, and a stand-up collar, high-button shoes, striped formal trousers, and was carrying a silk top hat. A minute later, Mabel came out, leading them to look the front room over, and joined me, looking puzzled.
Frank, did you see how they're dressed? Well, they might have gotten those clothes out of a museum.
Well, maybe they're going to a masquerade ball, but that's not the funniest thing about them.
Oh?
Mabel, that newspaper they have just can't be printed yet. It's about 10 hours ahead of time. I think we should...
Here they come.
My wife and I have been talking about the room.
And we want to take it.
Why, that's fine.
It is a lovely room. Has such a nice, clear view of the street. And we would like to stay here because we have read so much about you both. We feel that we know you.
Read so much about us?
Why, yes, you are famous. Goodness, I cannot imagine how many words...
Susie.
Yes. Oh, my goodness. I mean, we have heard so much about you from people who know you. Well, anyway, we do like the room and want to rent it.
Well, I don't know. We were thinking of just one person.
We will not be any trouble at all. In your posting, I mean your advertisement, you mentioned $10 a week. We will pay $12 and in advance. Here you are. 1 month's rent in advance.
Well, I still think...
Oh, I'm sure the Deans are perfectly all right, Frank. Go ahead, take the money.
Well, if the wife says okay, Mr. Dean.
Then, here you are.
Thanks.
Say, something the money? You're looking at it as if it were not good.
Well, no, I guess it's good, all right. It's just that these are the old-style bills. The big kind haven't been in use for 20 years or more.
That Victor at the museum.
I beg pardon?
Nothing. I can explain the bills. You see, my wife and I have been living abroad. Recently, we received a legacy from a distant relative. She was an eccentric. Left us trunks of old clothes. I've noticed you staring at our clothes. And old money, too.
Oh, well, that explains it.
Well, in that case, folks, just make yourselves at home. If you've got any luggage, why...
We are having a couple of bags sent on later. But for now, we are going to buy all new things.
And about how long do you think you'll be staying, Mrs. Dean?
We can tell you exactly, Mrs. Richards. Until 5 minutes past 3 in the afternoon, October 30th.
You see what I mean about the Deans being odd? Well, I've explained to you in all this detail so you'll know just how the whole thing started. Well, the next day, the Deans went shopping and came back with a brand new, up-to-date wardrobe. And a couple of days later, 2 small trunks of some funny new plastic arrived, but I never saw them open the trunk. They read a lot, mostly newspapers and history books, and stayed in their room a good deal. But they were awfully nice people, very bright and gay. Well, we took to playing bridge evenings and talking.
Well, that's game and rubber. Do you want to play any more, Susie?
No, thank you, Mabel. Let us just sit and listen to the radio and talk. It is so nice to be able to talk without worrying about a monitor listening in.
A monitor?
Susie means a spy. You see, abroad, well, you have to watch everything you say these days.
Oh, that must be terrible.
It is, Mabel. That is why it is so nice to talk and not worry about saying the wrong thing.
But surely in your own home you can talk. No monitors can overhear you then.
Oh, but they can. There is two-way television in every home. They can see you and hear you. Everything you say and everything you do.
Why, how awful.
But where is this? I haven't heard of any place where such a thing has been developed. You two talk just like you'd stepped out of one of these imaginative books about the future.
What? What did you say?
I said you talked like a couple of people out of a book about the future.
Yes, Frank. I suppose we do.
But, John...
We might as well let Frank and Mabel in on our little secret, darling. They are just about to guess it anyway. You see, folks, we are from the future.
You're what? We come from the future, Mabel. I was born in the year 2205. John was born in 2198.
Oh, no.
Hey, wait a minute. Hey, a gag's a gag, but you're kidding.
No, Frank.
You are kidding, aren't you?
You know we are not kidding. Back home now, the year is 2228.
So there you have it. 2 people from the year 2228 had rented our front room. People who wouldn't even be born for over 200 years. 2 people from the future.
Well, Frank, Mabel, I see you are convinced now.
Yes, I guess we are. It's the only answer that explains everything. Especially that newspaper you had when you first came here, printed 10 hours ahead of time.
It came from the files of the Historical Museum, Frank.
So did our clothes and our money. We tried to get the right clothes and money for this year, but we did not have much data to go on. Our researchers were a few years out of date.
You see, we do not know too much about the everyday details of the past, back in 2228.
But, goodness, I should think you could find out every detail about us in your library. Surely the old books and newspapers...
Unfortunately, we don't have many old books and newspapers.
Why the devil not?
For one thing, the war.
The war?
Oh, you need not look scared. It will not happen in your lifetime. Not the one I am speaking about. But when it does come, well, there will not be many books or newspapers left.
That sounds as if there won't be many people left either.
Now we must not talk about the war. In fact, it may never happen if we are successful.
If you're successful? Oh, look, you've told us this much. Now I think you've got to tell us a little more. How did you get here from 2228?
We came through a time gap, a distortion in the time field. I cannot explain it. It was developed at the Science Institute, and except for a few trial trips, we are the first people ever to use it.
All right. Well, that brings up my other question. Why?
Well, why did you come? And especially here? Why were you so anxious to rent our front room that you showed up even before my advertisement was printed?
Frank, we are photographers, and we have come here into the past to make a newsreel of a political parade.
A parade?
Yes, it will take place on October 30th. It will be in honor of a candidate for the Senate, a certain Farrington Farnsworth.
Farnsworth? Oh, yes, we've heard some of his speeches on the radio, Frank.
Oh, sure, I remember. He's a real red-hot down with everybody but us kind of politician. In 1964, he was elected president. I mean, he will be elected president. Him? President?
Yes, Frank. And in 1972, this country will become a dictatorship. Goodness, it is hard to remember the difference between past and future when you are traveling in time.
A dictatorship? This country? Oh, you're joking.
No. We are very much in earnest, Mabel. Farrington Farnsworth will become our first dictator. His son will become Farrington Farnsworth the second, dictator of the Western Hemisphere. At this moment, back in 2228, Farrington Farnsworth the eighth is dictator of the world. I guess we sat up most of that night talking. And what John and Susie told us kind of made our hair stand on end. About the dictatorship of America and the wars that followed. Ending up with the big slam-bang all-out war of 2012 with only 400 million people left alive. And how the dictatorship spread over the world so that by 2228 the world was ruled by a small group living in luxury. Most of them distant descendants of dictator Farnsworth the First. Well, there was more. I guess that's enough to give you the rough idea. The glorious future, not the way John and Susie Dean told it to us. It made me and Mabel mighty glad we were alive now and not then. So John explained they had come back to the past to get a special newsreel of dictator Farnsworth in his first big public appearance. Now, that's all they would say, so we let it go at that. We didn't tell anybody about them. Who would have believed us? But now that we knew the truth, we weren't puzzled by John and Susie anymore. Well, the weeks went by, and they saw as much of life today as they could. Went to ball games, the theater, all the different restaurants, and had a wonderful time. Sometimes they just sat home with us, and we listened to the radio.
This is so much fun. So much fun. I wish it did not have to come to an end.
Yes, we have stayed about as long as we can. Tomorrow is the big parade, you know.
Oh, yes, the parade for Farrington Farnsworth.
We will do our job, and then we will go back into our time.
And we'll just go on with the old routine, I suppose, as if we'd never seen you.
Well, not exactly the old routine, Frank.
No, life will be considerably different for you in the days to come, Frank. You and Mabel.
You said something like that the very first day you were here. You said you'd read a lot about us. But where?
In the newspapers, Mabel. While John and I were studying up on this time period.
In the newspapers? Me and Mabel? To put it bluntly, old man, you are both going to be famous.
Oh, you're joking. Why should we be famous?
Oh, you don't mean the book I'm writing, to make a little extra money so that when the baby gets here... Oh, not your book. Though it will be published.
Well, at least that's nice to know.
Well, go on, John. Tell us some more about what lies ahead of us. Look, I need to make some more money. Can't you give me a tip on the stock market? After all, you did read the newspapers. Back then in the future, you said you read all the newspapers for 100 years.
So you must know whether stocks are going up or down.
Well, yes, we do. But we cannot tell you. Really, we cannot. And besides, you will not need any such information.
But why not? Because you are going to be famous, both of you. For a little while, Frank is going to be the most famous man in the world.
It is true, Frank. Really, it is.
I do wish you wouldn't be so mysterious. Can't you give us even a little hint as to why he'll be famous?
I could give you half a dozen reasons, but I will not. But when it happens, and you remember that we predicted it, then you will know that all this really took place, even though later it will seem just like a strange dream.
Well, then I suppose we'll just have to wait and see, huh?
I am afraid so, Frank. And now I think we should all go to bed. Tomorrow is going to be a big day for all of us.
So, we all went to bed. Mabel and I tried to figure out what John and Susie meant. How could two average people like us become famous? Didn't add up. So we finally decided they were just kidding us and went to sleep. Well, the next day, we didn't get to talk much. John and Susie were busy. Long before the parade came past, they got a funny-looking camera out of their suitcases and started setting it up in the front room, looking out on Main Street. But when they finished, we could hear the bands playing in the distance as the parade in honor of Farrington Farnsworth came down our street. Well, here he comes, Susie. Your great, many times great-grandfather will be coming past any minute.
Yes, I know. I suppose I will be the first person in history to see his great-grandfather 8 times removed.
Nervous?
I am a little. What will happen?
I do not know, but we will have to be prepared.
I am prepared.
Hey, what are you two talking about? Is the parade in sight, huh?
It is just down the street. Where is Mabel?
Well, she's lying down. Doesn't feel like watching. I'll turn on the radio. We'll get a commentary from the car right behind Farnsworth.
I think I can see his car now. Yes, I am sure of it.
Well, folks, here we are, halfway to City Auditorium. And so far, at least 500,000 people have greeted Mr. Barrington Farnsworth from the crowded sidewalk. It's really a triumphal day for him. All public opinion polls predict he'll be swept into the Senate by a landslide.
And he was, too. Went on to become dictator. Now his descendants keep the world in slavery.
As far ahead as the eye can see, dense mobs line the streets. Victory is in the air, victory for Farnsworth and his foreign policy. Now we're going to let you listen to the band for a moment.
There he is, John, waving to the crowd.
I see him. I have the camera focused. Yes. Turn it on.
Yes, John. Yes.
Hey. What kind of camera is that? It's beaming a blue light down on Farrington Farnsworth. Please, Frank, stand back. Cut power, Susie.
Yes, John.
Now the blue light is gone. So what are you two up to? You didn't take any picture of that. Hey, something's happening down there.
Yes, Frank.
Farnsworth is slumping down in his seat.
Something's happened. Mr. Farnsworth has just collapsed. The parade has stopped. The crowd seems stunned. He may have fainted. His physician is hurrying to his side. They're trying to rouse him. I'll let you know as soon as I can find out just what's wrong.
Good Lord. John, did that blue light have anything to do with Farnsworth's collapse just now?
Yes, Frank. It caused his collapse. Now, close the window, Susie.
Yes, John.
Now the radio. Cut it off. We will not need it.
But, John,
Sorry, Frank.
Hey, look here. What's going on? What are you two up to?
We have just killed Farrington Farnsworth.
Just killed?
Yes. Now, we haven't much time. Susie, better pack fast.
Of course.
We will talk while we pack, Frank. Farnsworth has had a heart attack. In a minute, he will be dead. That blue light caused the heart attack. It is a weapon very popular in 2228. The secret police use it a lot.
Good Lord.
It's a favorite weapon of Farrington Farnsworth VIII. It helps him keep the slaves quiet.
Then you lied to me.
Yes, we lied to you. We came back to your time in order to assassinate the first Farrington Farnsworth, before he could ever become powerful. We came back to prevent the future from happening. We came back to remove one man, to keep the world free.
I don't get it. Think about it, and you will. We are leaders of an underground dedicated to freeing the world of 2228. Our scientists perfected a time machine. We cannot fight the Farnsworth dictatorship in our own time, so we came back to eliminate it in advance.
Then in the future, all those things you told me won't ever happen.
We hope not. It is what we are trying to prevent.
But Susie, you said you were a direct descendant of Farrington Farnsworth. Now, if he dies without any children, where will that leave you?
I am afraid it will not leave me any place, Frank. I just will not ever have existed, that is all. And, John, darling.
Yes, Susie.
Hold me close. I feel so strange and far away. I think Farnsworth must be dying.
I will hold you, Susie. Oh, Susie. Susie, if it could only have been different.
John, John.
Susie. She's gone. She vanished. She just went out. Like a light going out.
Yes. Like a light going out. Susie has never been born, Frank. Never existed. Farnsworth is dead.
Dead. I understand, but to vanish like that.
It is the price of freedom for the world. The whole future is different. I will go back to a world I may not even know. Now stand back, Frank. I am signaling for them to turn on the time transmitter and pull me back to 2228. Back in my own time, they hear that. They will be activating the apparatus. I'll be gone in a moment, Frank.
But what will I tell people?
Do not tell them anything. They may lock you up in a sanitarium if you do. Remember, the doctors will say Farnsworth died of a heart attack. There will be no proof he has been murdered. Now, goodbye, Frank.
Oh, you're getting all misty, transparent. I can see through you. John!
Goodbye, Frank. Goodbye. Be happy with Mabel. Remember, I predicted you would be famous. Forget about us. Forget about us.
He's gone. And the trunks. Everything they brought with them is gone. Everything is just gone. Well, that's the story, folks. It happened just this afternoon. John and Susie Dean from the year 2228 assassinated a man who would have become dictator. And I can't prove it. In fact, I wouldn't even have told you this, but Mabel, she felt we had to tell. Just before she went to the hospital, she made me a promise. The shock of what happened, well, it hurried things up, and we sent for the doctor right away after John vanished. We hurried her off. I'm waiting now for word that everything's all right, and I decided I'd tell you the story while I waited. You see, here... Oh, excuse me, the telephone. It may be the hospital. Hello? Hello? Yes. Yeah, speaking. What's that? A boy? Oh, it's fine. How's my wife? Good. Tell her I'll be right over. What? You said it was a boy. Yeah, but I don't understand. Oh. Oh, no. Oh, no, it can't be. But they said everything's all right. And it's a boy, but not just one boy. 6 boys. Well,
So that's what John meant. That's what he meant when he said he could give me half a dozen reasons why we were going to be famous.
This is the mysterious traveler again. Did you enjoy our little visit from two people of the future? Oh, there are some questions you'd like to ask me? Well, I'd be glad to answer them just as soon as the program is over. We only have a minute left, you know. Oh, you have to get off here. I'm sorry. But I'm sure we'll meet again. I take this same train every week at this same time.
You have just heard The Mysterious Traveler. Now you can enjoy other exciting tales of The Mysterious Traveler in the current issue of The Mysterious Traveler magazine. In our cast were Lawson Zerbe, Bryna Rayburn, Cliff Carpenter, and Miss Leslie Woods. Maurice Tarplin played the title role. Original music by Fred Mendelssohn. All characters in this story were fictional. Any resemblance to names of actual persons was purely coincidental. Phil Tonkin speaking. This program came to you from New York. The shadow knows. Yes, the shadow knows the weed of crime bears bitter fruit. And the ability of Lamont Cranston to become the invisible nemesis of evil strikes fear into the hearts of criminals across the world. The Shadow's fight against the enemies of society is brought to you in eerie tales of suspense every Sunday. For adventure into the realm of the unknown, where an Oriental secret transforms a man about town into an unseen presence, listen when Mutual presents The Shadow every Sunday over most of these same stations. This is the Mutual Broadcasting System.
Weirdness once again from The Mysterious Traveler, 72 years ago, November 13th, 1951. Up next, a pair of shows from this date in 1960, 63 years ago. We'll hear yours truly, Johnny Dollar, in a bit, but first, an episode of Suspense. But before we get to any of that, now, in 1960, the folks at CBS were getting ready to move all their shows to New York City. They had already moved production of Suspense to New York City, and you will hear an episode of that coming up in a moment. A little later, yours truly, Johnny Dollar, had still not moved. It was still being produced in Hollywood. But this episode of Suspense, 63 years ago, November 13th, 1960, is entitled The Man Who Murders People.
And now, another tale well calculated to keep you in suspense.
Are you a commuter? When you hurry onto that late train in the evening, how do you choose your seat? You try to get as far as possible from the big black cigar, or as near as possible to somebody reading your favorite periodical. Next time, look out. You may be sitting next to the man who murders people. Now, before tonight's story of suspense, let's listen to some words of wisdom from a good friend of yours and mine, the host of CBS Radio's daily House Party.
Hello, this is Art Linkletter with a few words about that crippling disease known as arthritis. What is arthritis? It's the most widespread chronic disease in the United States. Actually, more than 11 million people suffer with arthritis. Men, women, even children. 11 million. No wonder it's called our country's greatest crippler. What causes this cruel disease? Nobody knows. It's still a medical mystery. The Arthritis and Rheumatism Foundation is searching for the answers, and they need your help. Research is costly. So is treatment. This humane work can be carried out only with your support. So send a generous contribution today to your local chapter of the Arthritis and Rheumatism Foundation. Remember, it's care today. and a cure tomorrow.
Train now leaving for East Glenrock, Newbury, Roseville, Milburn, all right?
Wait, please. Hold it, conductor.
You made it. Here, step up.
Oh, I thought I'd never...
Watch it, miss. Your bundles. Look out.
Oh, my package.
Stay right on there. I'll get them. Here's your hat box and newspaper. Well, no wonder you girls stumble wearing those spike heels.
My purse. Where's my purse?
Right here. Don't worry.
Give it to me.
Hey, watch it. You'll dump the stuff again. Here now, 2 boxes. I guess that's everything.
So I didn't have enough to worry about. Everything has to go wrong at once.
Take it easy, miss. You caught the train. That's something.
Oh, I wish I didn't have to take it.
Well, too late now. Board! Over!
I wish I didn't have to take it.
What's the matter, miss?
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realize I was speaking out loud.
Something you're reading in that paper bother you?
Yes, it... Well, I wish I hadn't bought the paper.
Not by any chance the Roseville murders you're reading about?
Why, how did you know?
Everyone has those murders on his mind these days.
I guess I'm awfully cowardly about it.
Not at all. I know a lot of strong men who find themselves afraid of the dark since those bodies began to turn up around Roseville. It's not something to take lightly.
You don't sound very scared.
Me? No. As a matter of fact, I've always been rather interested in murder.
Interested?
Yes. Murderers are very clever people, you know. Geniuses, some of them. You can learn a lot studying these cases.
Learn? I wish someone would learn who the killer is. What's the matter with the police anyway? Why don't they catch him?
Why don't they? Because he's cleverer than they are, that's why.
But they
This man is the coolest, smartest killer that's ever been known in these parts, my girl. Here, let's look at what the paper says.
Oh, no, please. I can't bear to see that picture again. Poor man he murdered last week.
Now, I studied that picture for some time myself. Found it very interesting. You know, figuring out just what kind of a man he was, what kind of trick he might fall for, just how he'd react when he knew he was going to be murdered.
Oh, please don't.
Well, you're trembling. Well, I believe you're really frightened.
Don't you see? I live in Roseville.
Oh, live in Roseville, huh?
How do you think it feels to get off at that lonely station at night? Not knowing in what shadow this creature may be standing watching me?
So you live in Roseville. Say, I'm not far from there myself. You ever pass Arthur Jenkins' antique shop on Bowley Road? That's my place.
I remember seeing it. My aunt's very interested in antiques.
You must bring her in sometime. I'll show her my personal collection.
That's very kind of you.
Glad to do it. Old weapons are my specialty. I got some pretty rare stuff. But, getting back to this murder business...
Oh, must we, Mr. Jenkins?
Tickets, have them ready, please.
Oh, where did I put that darn thing?
Tickets, please.
Here you are, conductor.
Thank you. Everything okay now, miss?
Oh, yes, thanks. I was just awfully nervous about missing the train. My aunt worries so if I'm not on the early one.
I know how it is. Well, you'll get your supper hot tonight.
Here's my ticket.
Thank you. Tickets. Have your tickets ready.
Let's see now. Where were we? Oh, yes, the paper.
Oh.
Here now. First victim, 2 months ago. Young mechanic from the Parkway filling station. Found in the reservoir, stabbed in the heart. Apparently thrown out of a car. No clues whatever.
And he was such a nice young fellow. We often talked while he was servicing my car. Then when I saw this in the papers...
Second murder. Wealthy broker left New York on the 4:45 one evening and never arrived home.
And then, just like the poor mechanic.
Body turned up 3 days later at the foot of the Mill Road embankment. Again, a knife wound in the heart, but no knife, no weapon, no clue, just a body.
Well, that's the one that horrified me so. suppose I should have a flat tire in my car tonight when I get to the station. I'd have to phone the garage and then sit and wait in the dark shed all alone.
I can see how you feel.
Or even if I tried to drive to the garage, I'd have to go slowly. And it's right through the woods, and...
And the man who murders people jumps out of the woods in front of your car? Yes, definitely something to be nervous about.
I hate to leave the house to go to work in the morning. And poor Aunt Maud. She worries all day till I get home.
Doesn't a pretty girl like you have a boyfriend to look out for?
Well, I haven't been living in Roseville very long.
You know, I've been thinking. I get off the station after Roseville, but if you like, I could get out and see you to your car and then take the bus on up.
Oh, I couldn't let you do that.
It's not much out of my way at all. As a matter of fact, I often drive down that way in the evenings. It's a beautiful drive. Up the Mill Road, past the reservoir. But... well, you're looking at me so strangely. I think I will go with you and see you to your car.
No, I don't want you to.
Well, we can talk about it later. But, get back to the murderer again. You know, I wouldn't mind being called crazy if I could baffle the police as cleverly as this fellow does.
Mr.
You take
Jenkins...
last week now. That was the third case.
Will you stop?
What? What's the matter?
Stop talking about the Roseville murders.
Oh, no.
I don't want to hear anymore, I tell you. I don't want to talk about bodies being found and fiends with long knives hiding in the woods.
Come now. You mustn't let yourself get so excited. Now, this man who strikes so cruelly, don't you wonder what started him murdering? Do you suppose power was what he wanted? Power over...
Pardon me, may I sit down?
What?
Is this seat taken?
No, I turned it forward so I could put my bundles there, but I can move them.
Here, I'll just pile them on top of each other. There. Plenty of room.
Well, I think I'll go back and have a smoke.
Goodbye, Mr. Jenkins.
I'll talk to you again later.
In just a moment, we will return for the second act of Suspense.
Do you start out for a drive in a car with the fateful anxiety of a soldier going into battle? Cars have been created for our pleasure and convenience. However, carelessness has made them responsible for more human death than any planned carnage in the history of man. It's hard to know why people who have no desire to destroy themselves should be guilty of this kind of irresponsibility. Despite the many automatic features in today's automobiles, nothing has yet been invented to take the place of human intelligence in control. Whenever you take your car out, whether for an errand in the neighborhood or a long trip on the highway, remember, it takes only one split second of inattention on your part to make all the safety features of your car meaningless, to turn the whole comfortable, luxurious machine into a weapon as personally destructive as any H-bomb. Drive with constant caution, common sense, and courtesy. Keep your car from destroying you.
Miss, are you crying?
No, it's nothing.
Gosh, is there anything I can do? I mean, I'm sorry.
I'm the one who should apologize. It's silly of me, but I've been so nervous. And then that man...
That man? You mean that heavy-set guy who just left?
Yes, that's the one.
Well, has he been annoying you?
Oh, no. It's not that, really. It's just that... Well, I live in Roseville.
Oh.
Oh, yeah. I guess you've heard of the murders that have been going on in that area.
I'll say. Some guy's been knifing people at night and leaving the bodies around.
Yes. And the killer is still at large, and of course everyone in the neighborhood is terribly frightened.
Police can't seem to get any clue at all on the case.
No. And the papers are so full of it that it's hard to put the ghastly thing out of your mind.
But about this guy who was sitting here...
Well, that's what I'm getting at. I was terribly nervous to start with, and this man sat down beside me just as we were leaving New York, and the first thing you know, he started to talk to me about those murders.
He's got a charming approach.
I didn't want to talk at all, especially about that, but he couldn't stay off the subject.
It's odd.
And he kept saying what a genius the murderer is, and talking about the men that were killed, and how they felt when they knew they were going to be murdered.
Oh, now, please, don't cry again. What's the matter with that guy talking to a girl like that?
And then he said he'd get out at Roseville with me and take me to my car, and I was scared and didn't want him to, and he insisted.
Insisted, did he? Wait till that guy comes back. I'll tell him a thing or two. What are they out there?
What's going on here?
You, I'll tell you what's going on.
Oh, now, please.
Look, you've annoyed this lady till she's almost hysterical, that's what.
Why, what are you talking about?
What do you think you are, forcing your conversation on a girl who's frightened and nervous and wants to be left alone?
Who says I forced myself on the girl? You must be crazy.
There's something wrong with one of us, but it's not me. Now get out of this car, do you hear me?
What do you mean ordering me around the train?
I mean business, brother.
Right, this is
and
outrageous.
the next time I see you hanging around this lady, I'll knock your block off. So get going before I really get mad.
I never heard of such a thing. This young hoodlum trying to tell a respectable man.
I don't think he'll be any more bother.
I was sure he was going to hit you.
Having a little trouble up here?
No, it's all right, conductor. Fellow was a bit annoying to the lady, but nothing serious. We straightened it out.
Well, I don't know if it's the murders or what, but this Roseville run sure is hard on the nerves lately.
Guess all your passengers are a little jittery up here.
A guy annoys girl, lady smacks another lady's kid, man breaks a window because it won't open. I don't know.
Well, that's that.
All quiet?
Uh-huh. Gosh, I'm sorry to let you in for that scene, but I thought it was best to show him I meant business.
I guess you're right. But, I'm glad it's over. What a train ride.
All included on your commutation. No extra charge for the fireworks.
I'm just exhausted. You'd think I'd been doing the work.
Well, you've been under a strain. How about sitting back and relaxing? Let me fix that back for you.
Oh, thank you.
There now. Just take it easy from here in. It's pretty nerve-wracking for you.
I don't know what I would have done if you hadn't come along, Mr.
Mackenzie. Bill Mackenzie.
Mr. Mackenzie.
You know, I believe I've seen you on this train before.
I'm certainly glad you saw me this time.
I'm glad, too. For more than one reason.
Well, now that it's over, I guess I was a bit silly about the whole thing. That man didn't really have such a bad face at all.
He's no monster, just tactless, that's all.
That's right. But me with my frayed nerves waving in the breeze, I'd suspect a rabbit of being the Roseville murderer if I met one on the Mill Road in the dark.
It's true the guy's probably harmless, but there's no reason why I should go on annoying you, even unintentionally.
Well, I do thank you for stopping in. By the way, my name is Kay Murray, Mr. Mackenzie. I live just outside of Roseville, the other side of the reservoir.
Glad to know you, Miss Murray. I live in Newbury myself, but look, if you're still frightened,
thank you. But I don't feel a bit frightened now. My car is quite near the tracks, and it's only a 10-minute drive home.
Sure, you'll be all right. Because I could see you home, and then I could grab a bus back to Newbury if you'd like me to.
Oh, it won't be necessary, really, Mr. Mackenzie.
Call me Bill, won't you? Since we're kind of neighbors, we ought to get better acquainted.
All right. Bill.
Kay.
Yes?
I told you I've seen you on the train before.
Yes?
Well, to tell the truth, I've noticed you particularly.
That's flattering.
And, since luck has brought me your acquaintance, may I take the advantage of it and suggest I'd like to see you again sometime?
Well,
Well, how about dinner or a show some night? Or whatever you'd like to do.
I'd like to, but...
It's kind of sudden, Kay, but please say yes.
Well, you might come up to the house some evening and meet my aunt.
You mean when I have a stamp of approval, we can go on from there?
That's about it.
It suits me fine. Let's see, This is Wednesday. How about tomorrow night?
Afraid I can't make it tomorrow.
Oh, Friday then.
Friday will be all right. About 8 o'clock.
Nobody. I've got to get off here. Now, if you're sure you don't want me to ride up with you.
Oh, no thanks, Bill. I'm not scared anymore.
How about your address, Kay?
Oh, I'm on Ferncliff Road, number 42. It's a big white house just off the Mill Road.
I'll find it all right. See you Friday, Kay.
Bye.
In a moment, we will return for the third act of Suspense.
Hi. Maybe you'll recall this tuneful reminder of times past. This is Dennis James with something else worth remembering. It's this. You're so right to stay regular with Kellogg's All-Bran. See, it's the normal, natural way to youthful regularity. The whole brand content of Kellogg's All-Bran supplies your system with all the bulk-forming food that you need every day. There's only one All-Bran. It's Kellogg's All-Bran. So relieve irregularity from lack of bulk, as millions do, with a bowl full of Kellogg's All-Bran each morning. ALL-BRAN. It's Kellogg's All-Bran.
Oh, darn these doors. They never do open.
Here, miss, let me do it.
Oh, scared me, conductor. Yes, will you please? I have so much to carry.
So just let me get in there.
Oh, look out, my bundles! Oh, for heaven's sake.
Oh, say, I'm sorry. That was clumsy of me. Here, let me pick them up again. Huh?
Oh, dear. Oh, look out. Don't step on that bag.
I got them rolling all over. Here, wait till I catch that hat box. Here's the 2 packages, hat box, and pocketbook, and your newspaper.
Thank you, conductor. Here, I'm through with the paper. I'll let you enjoy the Roseville murders.
Oh, thanks, miss. Wait a minute. There you are. You got everything?
Yes, thank you. May I sit down?
Why, certainly. Go. What? Why, what do you want?
I want to apologize to you, Mr. Jenkins. I've been feeling dreadful about that young man being so hasty with you.
Young Sir Galahad, huh? If I annoy you, why don't you keep away from me?
That's just it. You don't annoy me.
Well, if I don't, you certainly let
Honestly, Mr. Jenkins, it's hard to explain just how it happened, but, well, I was so tired and nervous and all, and the young man got the impression that you'd been upsetting me.
A bit impetuous of him, wasn't it?
I guess it was. Actually, I know you didn't mean to upset me, and I was terribly embarrassed when he spoke to you that way.
Well, pretty embarrassing all around, I'd say.
But I didn't know what to do. He meant well, you see, and it all happened so fast. Anyway, I thought I'd walk back and find you to tell you how sorry I am over the whole mix-up.
Well, I don't know. I am not accustomed to being taken for a masher.
But you weren't at all. I wouldn't have been speaking to you in the first place if you hadn't looked like a respectable person.
Well, I certainly wasn't being treated like
And
one.
I would have enjoyed talking if I hadn't been so unstrung. But you know what nerves can do to a person.
Well, I knew you were jumpy about something the first time I looked at you.
My name is Kay Murray, Mr. Jenkins. Can't we shake hands and no hard feelings?
Well, all right, young lady. I guess it was all just a misunderstanding.
I didn't intend to be rude, and, well, it's nice of you to understand.
Roseville! Roseville.
Say, here's your station now.
Yes. We're right on time. Oh, let's see. Have I got everything?
You have quite an armful. You know, Miss Murray, I'll repeat that offer I made before, if you like. I mean about seeing you to your car, if you want me to.
Oh, no, it really isn't necessary.
Pretty dark night, young lady.
Well, gee, I don't know. Now that it comes right down to it, I guess I would feel better if you'd walk over with me. Then I can drop you off at the bus station. If you're sure it won't make you too late.
No, I never run on a schedule. I'm often busy half the night.
Well, we'd better hurry.
Is the car far?
No, just the other side of the grove.
Watch your step.
Jump. Which way?
Oh, right over here. There's a path.
All right. See that you don't stumble. You certainly don't waste much electricity in these stations.
Now, this is the bad part. In through the trees here. Well, I'm glad you came.
It's dark, all right. And quiet with the train gone. Say, did you hear something?
What do you mean?
There it is again. Let's stop a minute. Hear it? There's someone following us.
I don't hear a thing. It must have been the trees.
Wait. I could have sworn... Well, maybe not. Let's go.
Oh, gee. You really had me worried for a moment. Strange what tricks mental suggestion can play.
Very strange.
Why, there probably isn't a living soul within half a mile of here.
Not at this time of night.
Now, if I'd been alone and thought I'd...
There he is! Look, between the trees!
Oh!
Stand still, both of you.
He's got a gun case. Stand still.
No, it can't be.
Not a move, you hear? It's not too dark for me to shoot straight.
You!
Who is it?
It's the conductor on the Roseville train case.
Oh!
If you'll just step back on the path and put your hands over your head.
No, you
Don't run, Kay. He'll shoot.
He'll never get...
You've killed her.
I doubt it. I aimed too low. Here, let's see. That's what I thought. Bullet didn't even touch her. It's those heels she tripped and hit her head.
She almost got away from you. Well, what are you waiting for? Where's the knife?
You'll see it soon enough. First, come over and give me a hand with this girl.
I won't help you. I won't move.
Say, do I have to get disagreeable?
Why don't you kill me and get it over with?
Just a minute. Who do you think I am?
I know who you are. And one day everyone will know. Do you hear? You can't get away with it.
Hold it, mister. I happen to be riding that train as special investigator.
What?
This gal dropped her purse boarding in Grand Central and was so edgy about it, I began to wonder what was inside. I managed to spill her bundles later and get a quick look in the purse while retrieving them. Then I remembered the madman's third victim was last seen walking with a pretty girl. Oh, why do you think I followed the two of you?
I don't know. Oh, what was in the purse?
You ever see one of these?
A pruning knife.
You never know what's turned a normal mind into a crazy whirlpool of hate.
Me? I would have been the fourth victim.
My purse. Where is it?
You're trading it for a pair of bracelets, sister. I never thought the man I was after would be wearing spike heels.
Suspense.
You've been listening to The Man Who Murders People. Written for Suspense by Mariana Norris. In a moment, the names of our players and a word about next week's story of Suspense. Ever stop to think about this? Radio is the swiftest, most flexible news medium. In addition, as veteran CBS newsman Lowell Thomas observes,
I wonder if you are taking full advantage of something that radio can do best of all. That is, keep you informed on national and world events. The Daily Human Show. That's what I'm here for. And I hope that you will join me each evening for a fast swing around the world.
Lowell Thomas, each Monday through Friday night at this radio address. Now, here's news about CBS News. Soon, broadcasting's foremost news service brings you twice the coverage, double the detail, double the depth. Starting Monday, November 28th, each weekday, CBS News goes double for you for a full 10 minutes every hour on the hour. The first word in speed, the last word in accuracy. CBS News goes double for you soon on CBS Radio. Heard in tonight's story were Vivian Smolin as Kay, George Petrie as Jenkins, Alan Manson as Bill, and Maurice Tarplin as the conductor. Listen again next week when we return with Night on Red Mountain by William N. Robeson. Another tale well calculated to keep you in suspense.
Now, the show you just heard, Suspense, from 63 years ago, November 13th, 1960, and yours truly, Johnny Dollar. Both came, believed to be, from the collection of Mr. Pat Rispoli. He lived in the WROW listening area near Albany, New York. He died in 1979 at the age of 53, and he did a large number of home recordings. He was another one of those folks who was a very, very early old-time radio collector. Not just that, he also recorded a lot of New York baseball games, Dodgers, Giants, and Yankees, and the Mets from that period. Rispoli traded his recordings heavily with other old-time radio fans, so they survived the ebbs and throes of collecting interest among other collectors since he passed away. And we thank him and we remember him in still continuing to dispense great old-time radio shows. Another one of his from WROW in Detroit. And by the way, many of you know that in a couple of weeks here, in fact, in a couple of days, the 17th of November, we are going to run a full set of shows that aired on November 17th, 1957 over WROW. We'll let you hear the whole thing right here on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. We're also going to hear in just a moment yours truly, Johnny Dollar. But first, you're going to hear this.
There's a price tag on almost everything. Whether you drive a shiny new 1952 model or a pre-war jalopy, you had to pay the price. And when you're driving that car, remember that speed also has its price. The price tag on speed violations last year was 15,000 killed and 500,000 injured. This year, thousands of lives can be saved if you and millions of other motorists come to the sober realization that speed is the biggest killer on the highways and resolve to slow down before you or someone else pays the price that must be paid for it. You can do your part by keeping within speed limits. At all times, drive as though your life depends on it. It does.
I got to tell you, it's wonderful that we have some of the best-sounding shows came from Mr. Rispoli, who is no longer with us, but enjoyed these old-time radio shows and recording them. And that is something that was not something that was common in the 30s and 40s. There are some out there, but in the 50s, hi-fi and reel-to-reel recording was happening. And Mr. Pat Rispoli, who is no longer with us, who lived in the WROW listening area near Albany, and you'll hear that name over the next couple of days because on the 17th, we're going to run this rare recording over, what is it? It's over an hour. We'll hear a couple of radio shows, and we'll also hear a newscast from back in the day. But first, what we're going to hear is the yours truly, Johnny Dollar, an episode from November 13th, 1960, 63 years ago. Bob Bailey, The Bad One Matter.
Johnny Dollar.
Pat McCracken, Johnny, Universal Adjustment Bureau.
Well, good for you, Pat. Just keep it up.
Now, what's that mean?
2 assignments in 1 week? Fine.
Oh, 1 week and 1 day.
So I still like it. What goes this time?
Johnny, how old are you?
Just exactly 30... Huh? Why?
Still young enough to remember how you felt and acted when you were a young punk, huh?
Sure.
But I hope you were a better sort than the one we have to deal with in this matter. And yet, on the other hand, well, you know the saying, it takes a crook to catch a crook.
Huh?
So maybe we'd be better off if you'd been an A-1 delinquent when you were a pup.
Do you mind telling me what you're yammering about?
But I suppose you were a good boy.
Well, I was no mama's boy, if that's what you mean.
Oh, I mean no real trouble with the law. No stretch in a reform school, no hoodlum gang, no good contacts, experience, that sort of thing.
Pat.
No, I guess not. It's kind of too bad, though.
You mean if I had a nice black record, I'd be just right for this whatever you have in mind?
And yet, on the other hand,
Oh,
Johnny...
come on, Pat. Start making sense, will you? Well?
Yes.
All right.
Culpepper Walker, Mono Guarantee Insurance Company. Do you know him?
In their office in Little Rock, yeah.
Good. Fly on out and see him, will you, Johnny?
Because of some trouble with some kid?
That's right.
Okay.
Just a kid, Johnny. But if what Walker says about him is true, if you expect to get anywhere with this boy...
Yeah?
You'd better take along a pair of brass knuckles, a length of chain, maybe a switchblade knife.
Oh, that kind, huh?
That kind. A real bad one.
CBS Radio brings you Bob Bailey in the exciting adventures of the man with the action-packed expense account, America's fabulous freelance insurance investigator.
Yours truly, Johnny Dollar. Expense account submitted by Special Investigator Johnny Dollar to the Mono Guarantee Insurance Company, Little Rock office. Following is an account of expenses incurred during my investigation of the Bad One matter. Expense account item 1, $2 for a cab to Bradley Field. Item 2, 8110 airfare to New York to Little Rock, Arkansas. The plane had left New York at 6 p.m. At 8:50 Central Time, we set down at Little Rock Municipal Airport. There have been a lot of changes since the year 1772 when a guy named Bernard de la Harpe stopped here and tagged the place after an outcropping of rock on the south bank of the Arkansas River. Yeah, it's an interesting town with its modern air-conditioned buildings of chrome and glass, its busy streets and busy people. And at the same time, its beautiful residential section, fine homes, plenty of trees and gardens and hedges and lawns that stay a lush green from half the year. Not far away are well-cultivated farms and dense forests. And along the river, lots of rich bottomland, much of it loaded with cotton. Any kind of crime just doesn't seem right in this area. As soon as I got settled, I called Culpepper Walker, made a date with him, and then early the next morning met him at his office where he got down to business.
No, Dollar, not right here in town, but in one of the outlying precincts, I guess you call it. Section they call Milltown.
Oh, I see.
And his name's Pete McGuire. Works in a cotton mill. He's 18, 19 years old. And he's the only one knows who killed Mr. Brierly.
Brierly?
And W. Brierly, client of ours. Insured for near $50,000. And his business partners in the mill are also clients. Very important ones.
Mm-hmm. Well, what happened?
And Monday night of last week, Mr. Briley was driving along with the payroll for the cotton mill, like I said, over in Milltown. That's east of here.
Yeah?
Somebody ran his car off the road, bashed in his head, and took the payroll, some $17,000 in cash.
He was carrying all that money around alone at night?
Well, he'd taken it out of the bank here in town just before the bank closed. He started out for the mill. But he'd had some trouble with his car, with one of the front wheels, and he had to stop and have it fixed. By the time he got on the road again, it was nearly dark.
Well, tell me, you sure he didn't just swerve off the road by himself?
No, he was shoved off by another car. Tire marks, the skid marks, showed just how it happened. Chief Andy Fisher of the Milltown Police Department checked that out.
I see. Well, could the police identify the killer's car by those tire marks?
No, sir. And that's where the McGuire boy comes in.
How do you mean?
I mean, he was caught running away from the scene. Not more than, well, couldn't have been more than 1 or 2 minutes after it happened.
Caught by whom?
Well, police car. Chief himself was in it. Just checking the beat out there. He chased the kid down and brought him in for questioning.
Well?
Nothing.
Nothing? What do you mean, nothing?
All they could get out of that tough young punk was absolutely nothing.
Well, then, what am I supposed to do if the police haven't been able to get anything out of him?
Well, you could try, can't you?
But it's a matter for the police.
If it wasn't for Mr. Briley's partners.
Now, what do they got to do with it?
Their insurance. Insurance on the cotton mill. Thousands of dollars in premiums every year.
So?
Well, I can't afford to lose it, Dollar.
Well, so why
and
should
they're the ones, his partners, who insisted that I get you out here to investigate.
Oh.
Yes, sir. Mr. Dollar? Johnny?
Okay, Culpepper, I'll see what I can do. Item 3, $50 deposit on a rental car, and I drove over to Milltown, to the one-room police headquarters in the city hall.
Yes, sir, Mr. Johnny. I was right there at the scene of the murder in my prowl car, right after it happened.
Oh? How come, Chief?
Man at the bank had told me about Mr. Briley's car trouble. It was getting dark, light rain falling, and Mr. Briley toting all that money. Well, I thought I'd better make sure he'd gotten to the mill all right, so I started out that way. But what happens?
All right, what happens?
I got there to Spring Road crossing, and there's his car in the ditch, and another car tearing away up the road.
Oh?
And this young Pete McGuire trying to get his motorcycle started and get away from there. Kind of seen me arriving on the scene. So when I found Mr. Briley's dying there in his car, I grabbed the kid. Yeah, if only I'd have had sense enough to follow up that other car.
Now, you're sure this Pete McGuire didn't do it?
Well, of course he said he didn't, and that was before he clammed up like now when he won't say anything. And he also asked me, didn't I see that other car that left a couple of minutes before I arrived?
Well, Chief, that doesn't prove...
And there was another thing, Mr. Johnny. You could still see by the tracks how that other car had shoved old Mr. Briley's car off the road. Doc Hamper come along about that time, and
Could you read those tire marks?
No, sir. But Doc and I could still read the tracks from that Pete McGuire cycle. So he come along after the other car left.
All right, I see.
But he must have seen who was in that other car, so he knows who did it.
Oh, well, now wait.
I'm sure of it, Mr. Johnny, because of what Mr. Briley said.
What he said? When?
Well, laying there in his car, dying, thinking the doc was Pete standing there. And he kept saying over and over.
And Peter, you saw it. You tell him, boy. You tell him who did it. You saw it, boy, so you tell him. You tell him.
Yes, sir, Miss Johnny. Over and over again, he said it, and then he died.
I see.
So he knew that Pete McGuire saw who killed him and robbed him.
Well, maybe.
Of course he did. That no good kid.
Why is he no good, Chief?
Why? Well, how should I know why, Mr. Johnny, except that he wouldn't go to school, he was a town bum, his ma never knowed where he was at. The most work he ever done was pushing a pool cue.
Oh, well, now most kids...
That boy has been a troublemaker all of his life. 10, 15 times I tried to get him to send him to reform school.
Hey, you really don't like him, do you?
Nothing but trouble out of him.
And I take it he doesn't exactly go for you.
Huh?
Maybe a cop hater even, huh?
Yes, sir. That's right. A cop hater. Just like his old man was. Like his old man taught him before I had to kill him one night in a robbery.
Pete's old man?
They ought to send this cheap punk up to the pen. But first I got to find out who killed Mr. Briley.
Of course you're holding him, Chief.
On what?
Material witness, withholding evidence. There must be some way.
Oh, with him claiming he's blacked out and don't remember anything? So that Percy Van Ashworthy Tetweiler upstairs.
Percy Van who? What?
The public defender. Got the judge to release Pete McGuire on his own recognizing or whatever it is.
Recognizance.
Yes, sir. So McGuire's out and free as a bird. But if he tries to run up before I can get him up before the jury...
Oh, Chief, lots of
But
kids.
don't you worry, Mr. Johnny. Everybody on that jury, my friends. So they'll lock him up all right.
Yeah, I see. Be a kind of revenge, huh? Because he won't cooperate with you.
Now, look, Mr.
Or
Dollar.
maybe just because he's a cop hater. Where'll I find this Percy Van, this public defender?
Upstairs in his office. But do you think he could get anything out of that kid?
Well, now, as the kid's defender, do you think he'll tell you if he did?
But if he did, and you find out, you got to tell me.
Yeah, we'll see about that.
Mr. Johnny, I am not going out of here with a punk kid making me look like a fool. All these years working to keep order here in Middletown, having to retire a few months from now. Yeah, and going out no richer than when I was walking a beat. So maybe I'll have to live with some of my relatives somewhere out west. But you think I'm going to leave with this kid making a fool out of me?
I'll see you later.
To paraphrase Gilbert and Sullivan, an announcer's lot is not a happy one. Well, not always. Want to know why? Tell you why. Take this safe driving business. Do you have any idea how many times my confreres and I have begged on bended microphone to have begged people not to kill themselves on the highways? Now, once and for all, let's get together on this. Let's understand one another. Unless you want a pack of frustrated announcers on your conscience, slow down and curb highway carnage. If you don't care about yourself, at least have a little consideration for us. And now, Act Two of yours truly, Johnny Dollar, and the Bad One Matter.
Percy Van Ashworthy Tetweiler was hardly what his name might have implied.
And, call me Tet, will you, Johnny? I don't like the name Percy any more than I imagine you do.
Yeah, sure, Ted.
Now, as I was saying, in spite of the chief's feelings about him and all the trouble he had with Pete's father, well, put it this way. That poor ignorant kid has had the odds against him ever since the day he was born. His father was no good.
So I understand.
His mother was an alcoholic. And because he's always been a stupid little runt, the other kids always bullied him.
Oh?
Yes, and when they'd pull a job, none of them very serious, I'll grant you, they'd leave him behind, so that he'd be the one to get caught for their mischief and petty thieveries. He didn't dare peach on them, or they'd beat him up. And the chief never let up on him. So he's hated cops, hated anything that had to do with law and order.
Which includes you.
Yes, I'm afraid so, in spite of my attempts to get close to him.
And even you haven't been able to get him to talk.
I've tried everything, Johnny. From sugar-coated kindness to the worst threats I could think of. Everything short of Chief Fisher's heavy-handed methods.
Oh? You mean the good old third degree, the rubber hose tactics and things like that?
Well, of course, the chief denies it.
Oh, sure he does.
And don't forget, I'm the one who got the judge to let him out on his own recognizance.
Why?
In the hope he'd open up to me. But to Pete, I'm still the law. Just as much as Chief Fisher, Judge Thurber.
Weren't you taking a big chance on his running away?
But he hasn't.
Yeah, I wonder why.
Won't do any good to ask him. Believe me, won't do any good to ask him anything. Oh. Look out there, out the window. Here he comes now.
Pete McGuire?
Yes.
Okay, give me a try.
What?
Yeah, look, don't tell him who I am, what I'm here for.
Johnny, if I thought you could do any good...
Believe me, I can...
But don't you see, unless he talks, the jury, all of them friends of Chief Fisher, and if he tries to run...
now listen, I'm no friend of yours, see? Maybe I'm a troublemaker, a con artist.
What?
Yeah, you want me out of town. You've threatened to have me locked up if I... Hey, wait, here he comes.
But, Johnny, I'm afraid I don't...
Yeah, okay, you just try and do it, see? I got a right to make a living, and unless you got some formal charge against me...
All right now, Mr. Tetweiler.
Pete, come in.
Now listen, Tetweiler...
You, sit down, Dollar. Sit down.
Yeah, make me.
If I have to, No, Pete. Pete, do you want to talk now?
Yes, sir.
Good.
Yes, sir, I sure do.
Well, if that's all you got to say to me...
No, Dollar. Stay, I'm not through with you.
That's what you think.
Well, Pete,
public defender, huh?
That's right. And that's why
You're
I tried
all
to...
trying to trick me is all.
What?
So you got me out of the clink, huh?
That's right.
So's now you think I don't know I'm being followed all the time? By that chief of police or one of his men all the time wherever I go? And I think I know why, sir.
But the chief promised me...
Yeah, the chief promised you. You believe that dirty cop? I tell you, Mr. Tetweiler, you get him off my tail.
Now, listen, Pete. And don't you see, if you just tell me what you know about the murder of old Mr. Brierly... Pete? Pete, please, boy. Pete, listen to me. If you're trying to protect someone by holding back...
Did I say I was? I say I really know anything?
Well, the chief says you do.
Hollywood.
Well? Oh, Pete, for the... Look, you're in trouble, boy.
I'll get out of it my own way.
No one's really proved you didn't kill him. So unless you tell me what you know...
You just keep that cop off my tail.
Hey, wait a minute, kid.
Pete, come back here.
See you later, Ted.
No, Dollar, come back here.
Drop it. Hey, wait a minute, kid. Hey, Pete, your name?
What's it to you?
So you don't like the cops either, huh?
Either?
Got a tail on you, huh? You want to learn how to shake a tail from an expert?
Expert, huh?
Yeah, that's right, me.
He called you Dollar, huh? That's a good name. Sounds like money.
Oh, yeah, baby, yeah. Maybe plenty of money. And maybe I can use some help in this burg, huh?
Help in what?
Well, now, just wait. Talk here in City Hall with the cops liable to show. Hey, you got a car?
I got a cycle.
All right, good. I got a car, a good one. So tell me where to meet you, huh?
You don't care if the cops are following me, if they follow you too?
You think I couldn't shake them?
Maybe.
All right, you head for wherever you want me to meet you, see?
Now,
and
listen.
if I spot somebody following, Pete, I'll shake them so easy.
You sure of that?
Sure, I'm sure. Then I'll meet you wherever you say, huh?
Because if they find out where I'm hiding out, you sure you won't tell them?
Look, I promise I give you my word. Well?
7 Mile Road, out beyond Spring Road at the railroad crossing.
Yeah?
You better hide your car. There are lots of trees.
Yeah.
You walk in the gully on this side of the tracks. Then you see a little tool shack on the side. I'll be there.
Okay. I don't know how soon, Pete. If we're tailed, I may have to lead him away. But I'll see you, huh? We were tailed, all right. And I could see by whom. And I wondered. To keep him from following Pete, I had to let the boy go on ahead. It was nearly an hour later then by the time I got to the tool shack. And I thought I'd lost the man who was tailing me. There was no padlock and a heavy hasp on the door of the tool shack.
So y'all come on in, Mr. Johnny.
Johnny?
That's right, Johnny Dollar, the big eye.
Oh, I see.
So they brung you here to try to make me talk, huh?
The insurance company, Pete. Not the law, not the police.
No?
No.
I know all about you, Mr. Johnny. I long admired you for a long time. I hear that you was coming here. Oh, I hear lots of things, Mr. Johnny. And I hear you coming here. I figure maybe you can...
Help you, Pete? But unless I know whatever it is you know about that murder...
Maybe I can tell you.
Come on, Pete, try.
But I couldn't tell the police. I'll tell any of them. I'll tell that defender you talking to. They don't believe me. You think they believe me over that chief, Mr. Johnny? You think they do?
Oh, Pete, you must have a pretty sour idea of justice.
And that chief, he run this town. And he like to kill me. Like he killed my old man. He don't like him. Only he killed me 'cause he'd say he'd catch me trying to run away.
Now, Pete, you listen to me.
And I don't really know who killed that Mr. Brierly. But I think I know, and that's why I don't dare say what I think to that chief or to anybody.
But when you saw the killer's car, heading away from the place...
But, Mr. Johnny, the only one I see is the police car when it comes from the direction of the mill.
From the direction of the mill?
So I really don't know. But that chief say I do, and if I try and answer the questions...
Oh, wait,
they're
Pete.
trick questions, like that chief trying to make me answer when he come there and see me.
Pete, listen.
And I tell you, so they can make me try and run away. Then that chief, he can kill me, and nobody see it's wrong.
Wait a minute.
And he'd do it, too. And that's
Chetweiler.
why I gotta hide
He
away
himself said
from
that.
anybody.
Yes, Dollar. The chief had me let him go in the hopes he'd have confidence in me. Talk to me.
The chief had let him go. Sure. Maybe it was to get an excuse to kill him if he ran. And that other car? Pete saw no other car. So how would the chief know one had left the scene a couple of minutes before he got there? And there were other things.
You think I'm going to retire with this kid making a fool out of me?
Pride of an old man who's been running the town.
Yeah, and going away no richer than when I was walking a beat.
Oh, but he'd be rich enough with that 17,000 payroll. Sure. And meantime, he knew that Pete McGuire, in his ignorance of justice and his fear, didn't dare to say what he suspected, didn't dare accuse this man he thought would kill him with impunity. Yeah, and that everyone connected with the law was against him.
They're all against me, and so I want to live, Mr. Johnny. I can't tell nobody, not even you.
Maybe you don't need to, Pete.
And besides, I only think I know who killed Mr. Briley.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure. As sure as I... Huh? Hey, Pete, that smell.
Coal oil.
Yeah, kerosene. Hey, look. Soaking in around this door. It's blocked. Somebody's jammed something into that hasp out there.
Mr. Johnny, fire! Now they're smoking this fire.
You're right.
Winds is locked in here. We'll be burned alive.
Keep talking, Pete. He forgot the hinges are inside this door.
What's it?
Keep talking while I pull the pins out of those things.
We're dying here. We're going to be cooked alive in here, Mr. Johnny.
Here's one.
We're going to burn up in here,
Here's the
Mr.
other.
Johnny. We're going to be cooked alive.
Come on, Pete. Come on.
Mr. Johnny, we're going to die.
All right, Chief.
Mr. Dollar?
Yeah, that's right.
I see this shack on fire.
Mr. Briley.
This boy told you that. I'll kill him, too.
Oh, no, you won't, Chief.
Put away that gun. I'll kill you, too.
Oh, no.
Chief!
He miss you, Pete?
I'm all right, sir.
Oh.
So you killed old man Briley.
Mr. Dollar.
And if this boy did know. But until you were sure he did, and you kept him too scared to talk. All right, Chief, you want to write and sign a confession?
But if my people found out I
Or
did
shall I use this gun of yours on you?
No, please.
Okay, then. Up on your feet. Up on your feet. Yeah, pretty smart. Using that poor ignorant kid as a means to keep any suspicion away from himself. But believe me, not smart enough. Expense account total, including hotel expenses, the rental car, and the trip back to Hartford, $231.20. Yours truly, Johnny Dollar.
Catching a cold? Well, I guess most everyone knows that the smart thing to do when you feel a cold coming on is to get plenty of rest. But there are some days when no matter how miserable you feel, you just can't stay in bed. And if tomorrow is one of those big days and your cold is complicated by constipation, well, that's when you'll appreciate X-Lax most. You see, X-Lax has the qualities doctors consider most important in a laxative. It's gentle, effective, and close to natural acting. Taken at bedtime, X-Lax won't disturb sleep. It works effectively, overnight, to help you toward your normal regularity. And X-Lax is so close to natural acting, there's no upset or discomfort. So gentle, it's even recommended for children. So, if tomorrow's a big day for you, if you have a cold and need a laxative too, take X-Lax, a laxative with the qualities a doctor would recommend. X-Lax. Now, here is our star to tell you about next week's story.
Next week, the double deal matter. And I give you one guess about who comes out at the short end of it. Join us, won't you? Yours truly, Johnny Dollar.
Yours truly, Johnny Dollar, starring Bob Bailey, originates in Hollywood and is written, produced, and directed by Jack Johnstone. Heard in our cast were Larry Dobkin, James McCallion, Forrest Lewis, Russell Thorson, and Sam Edwards. Be sure to join us next week, same time and station, for another exciting story of yours truly, Johnny Dollar. This is John Wall speaking.
This is the CBS Radio Network. You're tuned to Radio 590 WROW in Albany, New York.
Yes, these are over-the-air recordings. Now realize that AM radio did sound that good at one point in time. It really did. And it's amazing that Mr. Pat Rispoli made these great recordings. And we appreciate what he did so much. Other people who preserved classic radio in a show that was, I don't think, ever heard domestically, except with people like me. This is, and up next, an Armed Forces recording of an original Armed Forces show, Macabre. And that'll be coming up next here on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. But first,
if you are planning a new building, the architect can make inexpensive changes in his design to shield against the dangers of radioactive fallout. This technique is called design slanting, which simply means designing for added fallout protection without adversely affecting the use, appearance, or cost of a building. To learn more about slanting, contact your local civil defense director.
now by 1961, and by the way, this is Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. By 1961, you didn't have much old-time radio. The soap operas had pretty much ended. All you had left that were radio recordings were Suspense and yours truly, Johnny Dollar, and older shows. Well, the folks at Armed Forces Radio in the Far East Network, because quite frankly, there were no or very few television sets in battlefield areas, and wanted to continue to bring entertainment to our troops that were serving. And at 61, there was not a lot of war going on except for what was happening and beginning to happen in Vietnam. And this show called Macabre, created out of what was going on in the Far East, the Far East Network. This episode is a vicious show. It's about an escaped madman and his victims willingly buried alive. I think you will find this program spooky, which was the intent. Macabre, 62 years ago, November 13th, 1961.
Man lives in a world of time and space. He lives in a spectrum of the universe. When he ventures beyond this limit, he is in the unknown, a realm where strange forces are brought into play. When man attempts to misuse these forces, he is sometimes destroyed. This is Macabre.
The Far East Network presents in special performance, Macabre. Tonight's story, Final Resting Place.
Roger, this doesn't look like the road. Honey, I think we're lost.
It has to be right, Sue. Justice of the Peace back at Carterville said the lake was on the main highway. We haven't made any turns.
But, darling, it's getting dark. This road doesn't look well-traveled. I really think we made a wrong turn somewhere.
Mrs. Kent, your husband solemnly promises to deliver his bride of a few hours safely and surely to Honeymoon Lodge on Mirror Lake. Now, let's hear no more about it. Come on, move closer. Head on my shoulder. That's it.
Roger, you better watch the road.
Why? We haven't passed another car for an hour. Relax, Sue. It's a fine way to start a married life of bliss.
Look, there's a sign. Can you make it out?
Yeah. Randolph, 5 miles.
Are we supposed to go this way?
Sure. What'd I tell you? It's only 50 miles farther. Randolph is our halfway point.
But this country road, how can they call a lonely trail like this a highway?
You're just a sophisticated cityite. Now close your eyes and listen to the radio. We'll be there before you know it.
All right, darling. I guess I'm getting jumpy.
Head on my shoulder and not another word. Okay?
Okay.
We interrupt this program to bring you a special news bulletin. Authorities of the state asylum have just issued the following warning. A dangerous homicidal maniac escaped custody this morning and is believed to be in the vicinity of Randolph.
Roger.
Listen.
He's 45 years of age, weighs 200 pounds, has thick gray hair, and answers to the name of Dr. Vardmore. We repeat, this man is a dangerous killer. Those in the vicinity of Randolph are urged to take extra precaution tonight. Since this killer is armed, the public is warned against walking alone or driving at night on the quiet roads near Randolph. Report all suspicious persons to the county sheriff's office. Now we return you to Stars of Music.
Roger, did you hear that?
Sure, but how does it concern us?
Darling, we are driving down a country road near Randolph. Suppose we should have car trouble or a flat tire.
Oh, you are getting jumpy.
Let's stop in Randolph for the night.
But, Sue, our reservations at Mirror Lake are for
Please,
tonight.
Roger. I have the strangest feeling. If we don't stop at Randolph, we'll never reach Mirror Lake.
Great idea, Sue.
What, darling?
Stopping here for the night? Now we can see the carnival.
It's all right while these people are here, I guess. But we'd better go back to the hotel before they leave.
Are you still afraid?
Well, kinda. Aren't you?
Come on. I'll show you a good time. You'll forget all about it.
Okay. What's that man doing over there?
And now, ladies and gentlemen, if you'll kindly step closer,
I don't know. Let's
I
find
will
out.
demonstrate for you one of the great marvels of all time. As you see at my feet is a hole, an excavation 6 feet in depth, a grave, if you will. And beside me here is a casket. Now, friends, what do you think we are going to do? Now, friends, ladies and gentlemen, have no fear. Tonight, I, Professor Vincent, will select someone, one of you from the audience, to be hypnotized and placed in this casket. Then I will bury him alive for 5 days.
If he's not buried that long, he ain't gonna wind up much alive.
Just a moment, please. 5 days at $100 a day. Now, what do you say? Who wants to make $500? There is absolutely no danger. A shaft will be sunk so that we can see your head. You'll get plenty of light and air. Food will be lowered to you. Nothing to it at all. Who'll be the first volunteer?
You got as popular as an undertaker, pal.
Come now, ladies and gentlemen. Under hypnosis, believe me, 5 days will seem like an hour. The easiest $500 you've ever made. Who will volunteer? How about you, my bumpkin comedian friend?
No, sirree. Last year I took sick with pneumonia. Thought sure I'd end up in one of them boxes.
Did you recover? It's hard to tell from looking at you. You, sir, what is your name?
Roger, he's pointing at you.
I don't think I'd be interested.
Who are you, sir?
Roger Kent.
Roger Kent. Does $500 interest you?
Well, sure, but,
Good. Good, you'll make a fine subject.
Now, wait a minute.
And, Roger, who is the young lady with you?
My wife, Sue.
Oh? And what do you say, Mrs. Kent?
Why, I think it's just a dreadful idea. No.
You better pick someone else, Professor.
Nonsense. Do you need the money?
We do need it. But not this way, Roger. It's awful.
$500 would pay off the car. We still have 10 days left for our honeymoon, Sue.
Well, how about it, friends?
Don't let him tempt you. I don't like that man.
It is a lot of money for only 5 days.
We can't wait all night. What do you say?
I don't know.
Say no, Roger.
Speak up. Yes or no?
I hate to turn it down.
You're not going to be buried in that terrible coffin. Tell him no.
Go ahead, pal. We got a first-class cemetery.
All right, everyone. Roger and Sue, time's up. Tell you what I'll do. Think it over. If you decide to go through with it, come back after a couple of hours when the carnival is closed for the night. I'll be waiting for you in my trailer.
Oh, Roger, he wants you. I'm afraid of that man.
Don't forget, I'll wait up for you until you decide one way or the other. Roger Kent will hold the grave open for you.
Roger, I'm afraid.
Listen, Sue, my mind's made up.
But suppose...
Face up to it. We need the money. That's the easiest $500 I ever heard of.
Darling, I know that.
Then what's the matter?
Well, in the first place, we shouldn't be out here in the dark with that madman loose. In the second place...
Professor Vincent seems too interested in me.
Oh, Roger, you read my mind. I'm just trying to protect you, honey. That man, I don't know. There's something wrong.
Admit it, Sue. You don't like the buried alive act. Isn't that it?
Yes, I guess so. It's horrible.
I thought so. Uh-oh. This must be his trailer. Professor Vincent. Here it is.
Roger.
Yeah?
If he answers, there'll be no turning back. It'll be too late.
I know. No turning back.
Professor Vincent?
Come in, Roger and Sue. Come in.
Did you really think we'd come?
I was certain. You see, there is no other way. When I count 3, Roger, you will be asleep. Sound asleep on your feet. Then, Roger, you will be placed in the coffin and lowered into the grave for your 5-day rest. Now look deeply into my eyes. Deeply. Inhale and look deeply into my eyes. You're going to sleep, Roger. To sleep. You can no longer move your arms. They hang helpless at your side. Sleep, Roger. Close your eyes and sleep. 1, 2, your eyes are closed. And now you are powerless to open them. You are 3. Asleep. Ladies and gentlemen, we are ready to place Roger Kent in the casket. Whom among you in the audience will help me?
I will, Professor.
All right, my friend, step right up here now. Here, help me raise the lid of this coffin.
Now, give me his feet and we'll put him in.
Careful, he's a big man. There, he's in.
Gosh, heavy as a rock. Just like a dead man.
Yes, now, close the lid. Close it. Now we're ready to lower into the grave. You see, the casket is supported over the open hole by 2 chains. If you'll flip that switch the same time I flip this one, Mr. Kent will be gently deposited in his grave.
This one?
Yes. There it goes.
Glory be. Just like a real funeral. Reminds me of the time we buried my grandpappy.
Ladies and gentlemen, in just a few moments, the coffin will lie at the bottom of the grave. We will then place an air shaft down to Mr. Kent's head so that he will be able to breathe. And all of you will be able to see him at 25 cents apiece.
I don't know. I just don't know.
Thank you, friend. You've done your work now. Will you kindly leave? Thank you. You are witnessing the marvel of the age. A human being being buried alive. The casket has stopped. Will another volunteer from the audience help me position the air shaft?
How about me?
Fine. Step up here, friend, if you please.
You picked the right one this time, Governor.
So?
I used to work in a funeral parlor. Handled the stiffs.
Yes, now, just pick up that end of the metal shaft, please. Easy does it. Now, down over the round opening on the casket lid. Careful now. There. Thank you very much, my friend. Neat, very neat.
Okay, Governor. What next?
The shovel. The hole must be covered up.
Oh, sure.
And that is it, ladies and gentlemen. You have just seen demonstrated the marvel of the age. A man buried alive. Mr. Kent will lie there in a deep slumber, the end of which time we'll dig him up and pay him $500. In the meantime, my friends, You may step up here and view him. Down the shaft for a small sum of 25 cents, 1/4, the 1/4 part of a dollar. Ladies and gentlemen, who will be first among you?
No, sir.
What's that you say?
Dishonest, I say.
What's the matter with you?
Charging money to see him buried alive.
What?
I don't know. I helped you lift him in.
Leave the carnival, sir. Leave here immediately.
That man ain't buried alive. He's dead.
Hello?
Hello, Mrs. Kent. This is Professor Vincent. I got your message. First chance I've had to call you.
Oh, Professor, I'm so glad you did.
What's on your mind?
How is Roger?
I keep telling you he's all right. Now you must stop this nonsense.
Well, it's been 3 days since he was buried, and he just lies there so still. Oh, if I could only talk to him.
Mrs. Kent.
I called down to him, but he never moves or opens his eyes. And after all this time, I know something is wrong. Roger wouldn't let me worry like this. He'd at least look up and smile, if he could.
How many times must I repeat he is hypnotized?
We interrupt this program for a special news bulletin.
Oh, just a moment, Professor. The radio...
Sheriff's office has just confirmed the whereabouts of the homicidal maniac who escaped from the state asylum 3 days ago. This dangerous killer who calls himself Dr. Vardmore is now known to be in the immediate vicinity of Randolph. Everyone is cautioned against walking alone on the streets after dark. If you plan to attend the carnival, kindly do so with friends, and leave the carnival in the company of others. Report all suspicious persons. We return you now to your regular program.
Did you hear that on the radio?
Yes, I did.
Oh, Professor, I'm terribly afraid. I don't want Roger alone down there with this madman loose. Please, Professor, dig Roger up tonight.
Mrs. Kent, we made a bargain. A business proposition. Kindly stay in your hotel room and rest. This is the 3rd day. The day after tomorrow, it will be all over for Roger and for you.
Pardon me, ma'am. Are you Mrs. Kent?
Why, yes. Who are you?
I'm the one who helped put your husband in the casket.
Well, why are you talking to me?
I don't know. Just to warn you, I guess. I think your husband's dead.
Oh, you horrible, horrible little man. Get away from me. I'll call the police.
That's you, Mrs. Kent.
Oh, Professor Vincent, I'm so glad to see you. That terrible little man.
Yes, I heard what he said. Now get hold of yourself and listen to me carefully. This is the 5th night. I want you to go to the hotel and wait until the carnival is over. Tonight is the last showing at Randolph. At 11:30, you take a taxi out here to the lot. I'll meet you. Roger will be ready along with the $500.
All right, Professor. Anything you say. Oh, thank God this is about to end.
Yes, my dear. It's all about to end.
Are you going out, Miss Kent?
Yes, clerk. And here's the key to my room.
Thank you. I don't think it's wise, though. I mean, you're going out alone. It's after 11 and mighty dark tonight.
The police haven't caught the killer yet?
No. Funny thing, too. Looks like he'll have to leave a fresh trail. You know, kill somebody so they'll have more to go on. Now, why don't you take someone with you?
Oh, I'll be all right. I'm meeting Professor Vincent at the carnival lot. This is the night they released my husband.
I see.
Do you know the professor?
Oh, yes, I do.
Well, he's the one who hypnotized Mr. Kent.
No. Professor Vincent didn't.
What?
Professor got sick 5 days ago.
Got sick? Well, then who was Professor Vincent at the carnival?
I don't know. Somebody who took his place, I guess.
Here you are, driver. Thank you. Professor Vincent, it's so dark. Where are you? I'm sure the carnival was on this vacant lot, but now there's nothing. Just a few old papers blowing in the wind. Oh, why did I let that cab leave? No light in sight. Those trees around the lot. What if the killer were hiding there? Oh, the place Roger was buried. It was in this direction. This way. Maybe I can find it. The grandma be thought when he dug him up and filled the hole. Must be right around here. Oh, where is it? What's this? Mount! No. They can't do that. They went away and left you buried. Oh, Roger. I'll get you out, honey. Oh, my darling, I'll help you. I'll dig. Something is watching me from those trees. I saw it move. I could get out of here. I'll be back, Roger. There's no night filling station 5 blocks away. Maybe I can make it there. Oh, it moved again. There is someone out there. Roger, is that you? No, it's coming after me. It's too big for Roger. I don't know what it is. It's gaining on me. I can't let it catch me. No!
Mrs. Kent, calm yourself, please.
Who are you?
Don't you know? I'm Professor Vincent. I was waiting for you. Now, come with me to my trailer.
No, you're not Professor Vincent.
So, you guessed.
Who are you?
There's nothing to be alarmed about. You're in safe hands at last. I am Victor. Dr. Victor Vardmore.
I've been asleep, I guess. Legs feel cramped. Mind's foggy. Can't remember what happened. Sue, where are you? Dark. Pitch black. Must be night. Quiet. Not a sound. I could only remember. Think back. Smells damp, like fresh earth. Where am I? Gotta get up and stretch my leg. No rooms. Wait a minute. There was this carnival. Professor Vincent. Oh, it's beginning to come back now. I was hypnotized and put in a casket. Buried for 5 days, yeah. Yeah, it's clear now. The time's up, yeah. They're gonna dig me up now. Boy. The deep hypnotic spell that old boy put me in. Glad it's over. Okay, Professor. You can bring me up now. I guess he stepped away from the shaft. Shaft? Where's the shaft? It's supposed to be over my head here so I can see up. Can't see a thing. Cloth lined coffin lid where shaft should be. What's going on here? I'd like to get out, Professor. Possible they went away and left me buried alive. Oh, no. Professor! Sue! Help! I'm buried alive! Good Lord. Help! Gotta get out. Help me, somebody! Don't leave me down here to die! Help! Push harder! More! No use. Won't budge. Help! I'm gonna die. You left me here to die. Can't call for help. Nobody'd hear me. Carnival left. There's nothing up there but vacant lot, edge of town. If somebody came back, how could he tell I was down here buried? Oh, God, don't let this happen to me, please. Help me, save me. God, don't let this. I don't want to die.
Roger.
I'm hearing things.
This is Professor Vincent. Now listen carefully.
Where are you? Get me out of here.
Don't fret. Your oxygen supply won't last much longer.
Oxygen?
You're buried alive, Roger. And I'm not coming back for you.
Not going back?
I'm leaving you buried there.
Oh, Professor, I'll kill you.
Now, Roger, tell me how.
I'll kill...
Don't excite yourself any further.
The oxygen pellet won't sustain your lungs. You are hearing my voice in a small shortwave receiver and transmitter near your head. I am talking to you from my trailer about a block from you.
Sue is with me, Roger. I want you to listen very, very carefully.
Sue, there?
Go ahead, Sue. Tell him.
Oh, Roger, are you all right?
Yes. What's he doing with you?
Please do as he says, darling. He's not the real professor. He's that escaped madman from the asylum, Dr. Vardmore.
He's crazy, Sue.
Please, darling, we have no choice.
Please, quick, Sue.
Listen to me. One move like that, and I will kill you both. I've gone to a lot of trouble to set up my final demonstration.
What are you going to do?
I am going to try personality transference. We have the required situation. A man buried alive in mortal fear of death. And the woman he loves, who will do anything to save him.
If we do, as you say, what then?
I will release the two of you.
And if we don't?
You have just enough oxygen for just a few more minutes.
I see.
Hurry, Dr. Vardmore, get it over with.
Now, Roger, I want you to think about Sue. Sue, you about Roger. Each imagine he is the other. Roger, you are standing beside me in the trailer. Sue, you are lying down there in the casket.
No!
Cooperate and I will free you. It's your only way out of that grave.
If it works, you mean I'll be in Sue?
Yes, and she in yours.
Do it, darling. It's our only chance.
He's not Sue.
That's enough. One more refusal, and I'll turn off the shortwave transmitter and leave you in your dark world forever. Now, Roger, imagine you are Sue standing here. Sue, you concentrate on being Roger in the casket. Think. Put everything else out of your minds. I have it. Repeat something you both know. Say the 23rd Psalm. Here we go now. Start with me. The Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside still waters.
He restoreth my soul. He leadeth me in paths of righteousness. For his name's sake, even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I fear no evil, for thou art with me.
Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table.
Roger, Sue, help me! Don't leave me down here! The oxygen, it's going! Save me! Quickly, dig me up! I'm dying! No,
Just heard Macabre, a special Far East Network presentation. In our cast were John Buey as Professor Vincent, Mitzi Hennessy as Sue, William Verdier as Roger, Milton Radmilovich, Air Force Sergeant Bob Eddy, and Air Force Sergeant Newell Stewart. Technical supervision by Hiroshi Odo. This is Air Force Sergeant Al LePage speaking. Macabre was written and directed by William Verdier.
Macabre comes to you each week at this time through the worldwide facilities of the United States Armed Forces Radio and Television Service.
Okay, that was weird. It really was. Macabre. As it was originally broadcast 62 years ago, November 13th, 1951, over the Armed Forces Network. Coming up tomorrow, we will have Dr. Christian, Jack Benny, the Great Gildersleeve, an episode of Gunsmoke, and Lum and Abner. That's coming up tomorrow on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. And we will have an episode of Lum and Abner coming up next on this Monday. But first,
trained people are needed to meet disasters. To fill this need, the United States Office of Civil Defense, in cooperation with the United States Office of Education and local school systems, is offering a 12-hour course called Personal and Family Survival. The course includes discussions on the effects of radioactive fallout, how to plan for and live in fallout shelters, and what to do after a nuclear attack. To learn more about personal and family survival, consult your local civil defense director.
and let's wrap up this episode of Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox with an episode of Lum and Abner as they continue to build their library. This episode of Lum and Abner from 82 years ago, November 13th, 1941.
The makers of Alka-Seltzer bring you Lum and Abner. Say, folks, do you enjoy doing favors for your friends? Well, Lum and Abner do, and they want to do a favor for all of you, their radio friends. They want you to know about the genuine relief that Alka-Seltzer offers for minor stomach upsets. You have no idea what a real favor they're doing you until you take Alka-Seltzer and see what prompt relief and what pleasant relief it brings for acid indigestion, distress after meals, and excess gastric acidity. Now, if you're like most folks, you occasionally eat too much, you eat at all hours, and sometimes eat the wrong kind of food. Then it usually isn't very long before your stomach starts to kick up a fuss and you begin to suffer. Well, next time this happens, drink a glass of Alka-Seltzer, and you'll help yourself to twofold relief. You see, Alka-Seltzer does more than reduce excess gastric acidity. It also helps to relieve that uncomfortable fullness and ease the discomfort of an upset stomach. No wonder, then, when you stop to consider how pleasant Alka-Seltzer is to take and how effective it is, that countless thousands of folks always keep a package of these modern effervescent tablets in their home and at their place of work, too. You'll want to do the same once you've tried it. So don't put it off. Ask your druggist for Alka-Seltzer, and the sooner the better. He has it by the package and also serves it by the glass at his soda fountain. And now, let's see what's going on down in Pine Ridge. Well, Lum and Abner are working hard trying to organize their newest public service venture, a library for Pine Ridge. Lum is especially pleased with this enterprise because it's helping him to gain the attention of Miss Fredericks, the new school teacher. As we look in on the little community today, we find Abner in the Jot-'em Down store. Grandpappy Spears has just entered. Listen.
Well, come in, Grandpap. Glad to see you.
Well, howdy, Abner. How are you, you rascal, you?
Oh, tolerably, I reckon.
You all by yourself?
Yeah, Lum's over getting some advice from Miss Frederick on running a library.
Yeah. Oh, Miss Fredericks, huh?
Yeah.
I thought that was Lum I seen a while ago heading over towards the schoolhouse. Had on his Sunday suit, didn't he?
Oh, yeah.
He's blue serge.
Yeah, that's the one. He's getting awful big-eyed in his head since he took up being a librarian. And then Miss Frederick told him he was doing a good thing for Pine Ridge.
A good thing?
Yeah, putting in the free public library.
Uh-huh.
She said he's helping both the young'uns and the growed-up folks get educated and get book learning and all such as that.
Sassafras. Sassafras. What does growed-up folks need educating for?
Well, I don't know, but Lum, he believes every word Miss Frederick says. He's even got to where he's going around here calling himself Andrew.
Andrew?
Yeah, Miss Frederick told him he's just like some feller named, Andrew Carnegie. I think that's how it's pronounced.
Never heard of him.
Well, he's some big city feller that's in the library business. Made quite a success out of himself, according to her.
Yeah, never heard of him.
Well, to be honest, Grandpap, I never did neither, but Lum thinks he's something wonderful.
Well,
just look at that sign he's got stuck up over in the library part of the store.
Whereabouts?
Over this way, around here.
Oh, yeah. L. Andrew Edwards, President and Head Librarian. L. Andrew, such prittle prattle. What's that table for?
Well, that's to sit around and read and study and stuff like that. You want to sit around it and try it out?
No, I don't want to sit around. Wait a minute, wouldn't that table be a good place to play checkers?
Huh? Hey, doggies, why didn't I think of that before? Why, sure, this library idea is better than I thought it was.
Yeah, get the board out and I'll play you a game, Abner.
Yeah, I'll get it right here just a minute. You go ahead and sit down.
Yeah, this ain't a bad little old table. Whereabouts did you get it?
Why, out of the back room there, we had some feed sitting on it.
Oh, yeah, I recollect seeing it sitting back there.
Here, where? Now, which do you want, the red uns or the black uns?
Oh, I don't care. Give me the red uns. I'm unlucky with them. That'll give you a better chance. Make the game about even.
I don't need nothing to make the game even. Come on here.
What you got that line drawn down the middle of the floor there for?
Why, Lum done that. Divides the library from the store. See, over on that side... Uh-oh, wait a minute. I forgot to tell you. We got a whisper over here.
Whisper?
Yeah.
What for?
What, see that sign? Silence, no out loud talking in library.
Oh, yeah.
If you want to talk out loud, well, you have to get on the other side of the line. Lum just raises the roof about that.
Oh, I see. Well, excuse me. Go ahead. You move first.
Well, I done moved.
Well, wait. You can't move up there, Abner.
I can, too. You done it the last time we played.
Well, I never done no such a thing.
You did do. I seen you.
I never done it, Abner.
Yes, you did.
That's cheating. You can't move up there.
Wait a minute. Don't talk out.
I don't care what the sign says, Dad. Blame it. You can't move a checker up there to start the game
Now,
with.
listen, Grandpap. If you're going to cheat, just get on out of here.
Why, I don't have to get out here.
You done
I've got rights, Dad. Blame it. I know how to play checkers.
You come over here and bantered me for a game of checkers if you ain't going...
For goodness sakes, what are you two hollering about?
Oh, I never seen you coming in long.
And get that checkerboard out of the library. Well, wait, Grandpap. I don't mean you have to get out of the store. Don't stop me. I wouldn't stay in here and play checkers with that cheating partner of yours if he's the last man in the world.
Yeah.
Well, don't run off, Grandpap.
Let him go. Get on out of here. Look at him stomping out. Thinks he's so smart.
Well, do goodness, Abner. I don't see why you and Grandpap can't get along with one another.
Well, you know what he done, Lum? He claimed that I couldn't move
I
this.
don't care what he claimed. We got more important stuff to do. There's more to running the library than I figured there was.
Biggest cheat I ever seen.
Miss Fredericks was showing me how to keep track of which books is out and which ones is in and all that stuff. Which one's overdue and which is underdue. Granny, she's going to be a big help to us, Abner.
I seen him make that very same move, but I can't do it. Oh, no.
Abner, forget about checkers and learn a little about the library business. Looky here. This is a picture of the New York Library. Miss Fredericks give it to me.
Hate and despise.
Granny, that's the kind of a building I want to get eventual. Look at that, Abner.
Uh-huh. If he can cheat, I can
Just
too.
look at that big stone front there and them windows. And them lines sitting out there beside the entrance. You know, that's what we ought to have, a couple of them lines.
Lines?
Why, sure. The New York Library's got two, and the librarian at the county seat's got a couple of them. That's how you can tell it's a library. Just like when you see a barber pole outside, you know there's a barber shop inside. Yes, sir, we ought to have some lines.
Well, maybe so, but it's hard to believe.
Hard to believe?
That lines can read.
I didn't say anything about lines reading.
Well, what they doing all this hanging around libraries for, then?
They don't hang around. These lines are just set there by somebody.
Well, you don't expect them to just stay sitting there, do you?
I don't know why not. That is, except if somebody steals them. And it's easy enough to prevent that.
we could chain 'em down some way or other.
Yeah, that'd be a good idea. Chain 'em down, yes, sir. That way they couldn't bite nobody coming in the store.
Bite nobody?
Why, sure. Lions has got awful big mouths, Lum, and long, sharp teeth. They're known as the king of the jungles, you know.
I know what a lion is, but the kind of lions I'm talking about can't bite nobody.
Too old, huh?
Of course not. I'm aiming on getting new ones.
Oh, too young. Yeah, that's a good idea. That way you can raise them to suit yourself and tame them as you go along.
Abner, can't you understand? I'm just talking about the kind you get for decorations.
Well, we can decorate them. I'll get Elizabeth to dig up some ribbon summers, and we'll tie big bows around her neck. I doggy, them little baby lions look cute decorated up that way long.
For goodness sakes, can't you get anything straight?
Well, what's wrong now? Ain't I helping you with your idea? I admit I still ain't much in favor of it, 'cause they're going to be an awful bother, Lum, but if you want lions, I doggies will have lions.
Well, of course I want lions, but not the
kind.
kind.
Well, then what are you for goodness saking about then? Seems like every time I try to help you with an idea, you get mad and disgusted.
I ain't mad and disgusted.
You are too, I can tell.
Well, all right, I am mad and disgusted.
Well, I know you are. Wait a minute. Where are you going?
I don't know. I think I'll find Grandpappy Spears and sympathize with him. I know just how he felt whenever he stomped out of here a while ago.
Well, now, wait a minute. Come on back here, Lum. Now, I'll study up some way to help you get the lines. Honest, I will.
Just let it go, let it go. The lines is out. You watch the store the rest of the day.
Well, now, wait a minute, Lum. Wait a minute. There comes Squire Skimp. See him coming yonder?
I can see him. You can wait on him. I'll see you later.
Oh.
Yeah, howdy, Squire.
Well, howdy, Lum.
Abner will take care of you back there. Sorry I have to be rushing. So long.
Yeah, so long, Lum.
Come on back, Squire.
Why, yes, Abner. What's the matter with Lum?
Oh, I don't know. Come on back and sit down.
He looks a little unhappy there. No serious trouble, I trust.
Oh, no, he's got some crazy idea that he wants to get some lines, and I weren't for it, so he got up and stomped out of the store.
For lines? What in the world does Lum want with lines?
I don't know. He gets ideas like that. I think Miss Frederick put this one in his head. He'll swallow anything that woman tells him.
Well, I'm a little afraid you might have a difficult time trying to cater to a whim like that, Abner. You know, there aren't many lions on the open market right at this time.
Doggies, I'd sure like to get some for him, though, just to see him happy. You know, he might be right. It might help Lum win, Miss Frederick. I'd give anything I've got to see him get married and settle down. Maybe then he'd quit getting such crazy ideas.
Well, now, if you're really interested, Abner, it might be that I could help you there.
Huh? I doggies, can you sure enough, Squire?
Well, I believe I can, Abner. I have quite a few connections along those lines. I might be able to do it.
I doggies, Squire, you're a real friend. Well, wait a minute, now, don't tell Lum. I want this to be a big surprise for him.
Oh, don't worry about that. Squire Skimp never betrayed a confidence, and he's always willing and ready to help a friend in need. Yes, sir, I'll tell you what I'll do, Abner. I'll do my best to get you a nice pair of lines.
Well, good for you.
For, say about $100.
$100? Doggy, that's pretty high, ain't it, Squire?
Well, you see, Abner, lines, you know, they're kind of out of season now.
Well, I didn't know that. All right, $100 then. I doggies hit the deal, Squire.
Well, the new library is certainly causing more than its share of mix-ups, isn't it? But here's something that you'll want to get absolutely straight. Do you know about the quick, pleasant relief that Alka-Seltzer offers for the muscular aches and pains and fatigue that frequently follow a hard day's work? You ever tried it? Well, you should, for Alka-Seltzer offers a remarkable kind of twofold relief for these common after-a-busy-day ailments. You see, Alka-Seltzer's pain-relieving analgesic offers the relief you want for those tired, aching muscles, while its alkalizing properties help reduce the fatigue acids caused by overexertion. So it's no wonder these analgesic alkalizing tablets are being used by countless thousands of men and women who have to work hard for a living. Now, you're missing out on a mighty good thing if you don't take Alka-Seltzer for muscular pains and fatigue. Try it, won't you? Just relax for a few moments, and while you're resting, drink a glass of sparkling Alka-Seltzer. You'll feel better fast. Get Alka-Seltzer at any drugstore.
$100 for a couple of lions. You gotta love it. Lum and Abner, November 13th, 1941, 82 years ago. Thanks for spending part of your Monday with us, or whenever you're listening here on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Tomorrow, Dr. Christian, Jack Benny, the Great Gildersleeve, Gunsmoke, and another episode of Lum and Abner. That'll be on our Tuesday edition of the podcast. A reminder to visit our webpage, classicradio.stream. If you like what we do, if you want to buy me a copy, that would be great. We got a number of items for sale over there, including an interesting-looking radio that would work, internet connection, so it'll connect to Wi-Fi or connect by Bluetooth, and that way you can listen not just on a phone, not just on a computer, but on a real live radio. See all that at classicradio.stream. And we'll be back mañana with more Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox.